It is therefore astonishing that for a second time, Mr. Lindsey Grant would make an accusation directed not at Charlie Jong or as Erasmus Williams. As far as I am concerned, they were merely mentioned to add seasoning to what he really wanted to say. He was attacking the integrity of the court. He said this raised into stark contrast. He says to this there, which indicate that they were aware of the result of the decision before it was handed down. And I think this brings into sharp focus the integrity of the administration of justice. How on God's earth can a man who wants to be a political leader and prime minister of this country could be so irresponsible with the truth? I do not know. This is the second time that Mr. Grant has sought to attack the administration of justice and integrity of the court. And on the last occasion he did it, the first occasion he did it, one of his lawyers, Mr. Vincent Byron, had to go on radio and admit that he had received the notice from the court. Coming from an officer of the court, coming from an attorney at law, and someone who wants to be a pretender to the throne, it is a very serious matter of integrity and credibility that Mr. Grant can continue at will almost to keep making these outrageous statements. And it's important, it was therefore important for us to share with you the notice that went out to all of the lawyers that had the judgment listed on the list. He also added to his attack on the Court of Appeal by speaking about the number of times it's been overturned. And you know the funny thing about it? Of the 4 cases he mentioned, I appeared in 3 of them. The Tosek case, the Observer case, and the Fraser case. The Tosek case, the Court of Appeal ruled in favor of Toussaint. But he still appealed to the Privy Council on a very narrow point concerning the use of the parliamentary proceedings and the Hansard of the court, of the parliament. In the Observer case, while it is that the government it was the first time before the Privy Council that the Privy Council made a determination following the Cable and Wireless case, which went to the Privy Council, which I was involved in as well, that made the constitutional determination that the constitutions of these islands include the right to apply for a radio station, and not that you have an absolute right to a license, but that your application should be considered fairly and without political discrimination or bias. So it was the very first time that that matter has came up, but he does not mention the several other cases, including John Benjamin from Anguilla, where the Court of Appeal ruled in favor of the citizen, the Peter Hughes, the mandatory sentence of death case, where they ruled in favor of the citizen, the recent Kenny Anthony case against the government of St. Lucia, where the Court of Appeal ruled against the government. It is outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous to seek to suggest some impropriety in the Court of Appeal by mentioning these names, when the Court of Appeal, our Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal, is now being recognized in CARICOM and the Commonwealth as setting a high standard for jurisprudence and the development of the law. And then he also made what I consider to be a most wicked statement about the number of times the Privy Council has overruled the Court of Appeal. And I am going to read from you a document prepared by Mr. Dennis Barrow, SC, former Justice of Appeal of the Eastern Caribbean, and now presently Justice of Appeal in Belize, where a similar nonsensical statement was made, and he had to defend it. And this is what he said. He said in his article entitled Confidence in the CCJ, the last 2 years for which the Privy Council statistics have been posted are 2006 and 2007. So the Privy Council has only been posting statistics in the last 2 years, 2006 and 2007. These statistics reveal that in 2006, the Privy Council disposed of 6 appeals from the Eastern Caribbean states. 4 appeals were allowed and 2 were dismissed. In 2007, the Privy Council disposed of 9 appeals from the Eastern Caribbean. 5 were allowed and 4 were dismissed. It is therefore egregious to propagate the statistic that 90% of the decisions of the Court of Appeal of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court that are sent to the Privy Council are reversed. A comparison of the performance of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court may be made by examining the statistics of the House of Lords on appeals from the Court of Appeal of England and Wales. For the last year, that is currently available on http://www.parliament.uk/document/upload/judicial stats206.pdf. In 2005, a total of 65 appeals from the English Court of Appeal were decided by the House of Lords. 45 of the appeals were allowed and 20 were dismissed. If it makes sense to use bare statistics to determine the quality of a court's performance, the market product of the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal is better than that of its English counterpart. So, in other words, the English Court of Appeal has a higher rate of turnovers by the House of Lords than our Court of Appeal has in relation to the Privy Council. So if you want to play the very silly game of statistics, it just makes no sense. And we think the time has come for politicians to stop playing games with the court. Stop dragging the court into the political arena. Stop disrespecting and bringing the court into public disrepute because it promotes, secures, and assists you in seeking some cheap political points. It is a shame that once again another political leader in the opposition has stooped so low in order to score political points. And I am going to ensure that the president of the local bar and the president of the OECS bar are given transcripts of the statements he made in relation to the Court of Appeal. Ladies and gentlemen, unless there's anything arising out of what I said, there is one gentleman over here. Could you pass the mic over to him, please?
Hi, good day. I'm Jermaine Hendrickson from Sugar City Rock. My question is, from the judgment that was handed down on Monday, is it possible for the People's Action Movement to appeal the case? And if so, what would be the plan forward?
Well, you don't have a right of appeal from the Court of Appeal to the Privy Council unless it involves an interpretation of the Constitution. This matter is a question of contempt. You do not and you will not get leave to appeal on findings of fact. That's one. And you will not get leave to appeal to the Privy Council on questions of law unless it raises a matter of great public importance. There is nothing in the judgment of the Court of Appeal that raises a serious issue to be tried of fact or law, despite the drama of the High Court judgment and the political mileage that the People's Action Movement sought to make out of it. But even if they were to seek to apply for leave, you can rest assured we will resist it vigorously, tooth and nail, A to Z, because we will not just sit back and lie back and allow these things to happen without an answer from us. Simple as that. Well, I don't think there are any more questions. I've been asked by Mr. Jong to say that Mr. Erasmus Williams issued a statement on Win FM yesterday. You did? And that Mr. Jong will be issuing a written press release to the media sometime this afternoon, hopefully before the 6 o'clock or the evening news. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. To those of you listening on radio, thank you so much for taking your time off to listen to us. Hopefully this program has been recorded for television. It will be replayed sometime later tonight. And the audio, to those of you who have been so kind to be with us, Freedom and Sugar City Rock and ZIZ, we'll be very grateful if at an appropriate time later today or tomorrow you can replay our press conference so that those who may have missed it today will hear it at another time. I don't know if you want to say anything. Well, we have not. I'm sorry.
Let me add on the point of information that Radio 1 will be carrying it tonight as a follow-up to the live broadcast that we're having today.
Good. I'm very grateful. Thank you. And big man from Sugar City Rock, I have no doubt you will help us with that. And ZIZ, you guys will no doubt help us with that. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for listening. God bless.